Welcome to Magic Hour. I am Paul Chappell, and here's the lovely Eve Taylor back again. And before we begin on our review of The Lion King, I think we gotta disclose the fact that you used to work for Disney, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
In what capacity?
I work. What do you mean? What capacity? Like, what all do I know?
You told me one time, and I completely forgot. Like you were an intern or something.
I did the college internship, which I recommend anybody doing if you're good with people, because guess what, you're working with people. But I did it for 2.5 years. I actually was a college intern, and then I went back and I was seasonal. And
now, what does that mean, college intern?
It means you come in, you're in college, you're doing this for college credit. It's allowing you to get like a business credit. Some of it even goes in with like entertaining and whatnot. And then
you work in the park though?
Yeah, you work in the park, and they'll pretty much on your experience and your personality is where they put you. Like I was over in Epcot. I did Penn Central. I did the art gallery. I did Mission Space and Test Track, and I did Club Cool, and I just found out that they're getting rid of Club Cool.
What's Club Cool?
It's similar to how the Coca-Cola place in Atlanta, where you get to go around and taste all the different Cokes from around the world.
Okay.
It's the same thing on a smaller scale, and it's inside Disney, and you could get free drinks pretty much.
No, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that when the last time, which was, God, how long ago was that? Probably 8 years ago.
I went recently, and it really hasn't changed, but I found out that they're in the process of getting rid of it, and they're putting something else there now. So I don't know what they're putting there. I keep tabs on little things here and there that's going on in the park, but that's just because
they need to just put a roller coaster in Epcot, because
there is a roller coaster in Epcot.
What?
Test Track is a roller coaster.
Oh, well.
Mission
I just
Space
remember
is the one that spins you around, like it's sending you to space.
Oh, I just remember it being boring. That's all. Like I said, I haven't been in a while.
But that's the thing, though. You need to go back now, because Epcot and actually all of the Disney parks now, they allow drinking throughout the whole park.
Oh, they do? Okay, now we're talking.
But that was the thing. Epcot was the first one that allowed you to do that. It was actually drink around the world, and pretty much, it was a made-up game that tourists would have when they would come.
Yeah.
And their thing was wherever they started, they would drink, and they would try to drink all the way around.
Yeah.
And by the time you usually got to America, which is dead center before you made your circle way back, whichever way you went, you were drunk. I've dealt with so many drunk people when I was there.
Well, didn't they have problems with Euro Disney when they opened Euro Disney? It was in France or somewhere.
That's the only one that's there, I believe.
And they didn't serve alcohol, and like
people lost their minds.
The people were like, "What do you mean no alcohol?"
Well, they were trying to keep with the whole it's family oriented, and they really didn't want to.
But they don't realize in Europe
that was their main.
That is family orientation.
Exactly.
They everybody drinks. You drink. You're a kid. They don't have a big. They don't see alcohol as a big deal over there.
Yeah.
They're a lot
so
different.
they eventually just opened it up for everything, because I remember when I was there, and this was back like 2010, right around there, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when like Epcot had it, and only certain restaurants in the other parks, but you couldn't leave with it. Now it's like there are beer stands and everything else all over, because I went last year and we did all 4 parks, and they had beer and wine, and they had their own little concoction drinks, and they had like light up ice cubes, and I remember I took every single one of them. They were great for parties.
Wow, so I gotta go back. They got that new Star Wars park too.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm going.
Oh man.
And they actually, when we were there, they were like 2 months out from opening Toy Story World. So, and that's
Toy Story World.
So, okay, so Hollywood Studios, or MGM, back in the day, that's what I grew up with, it being MGM Studios, and then it became Hollywood Studios when I started working there. Mm-hmm. And they actually, when we went, there's really nothing there. There's nothing there except for a few shows left. The Toy Story, the one ride they had, the Great Movie ride, it was gone. I was so upset. I wanted my boyfriend to see it. He's never seen that one. They only had the Star Wars ride, the Indiana Jones show, and then just the shows. And then the Beauty and the Beast. It was the Beauty and the Beast live action on stage, and then the Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster. That was it. That's all they really had, which to me was really depressing because I remember the Great Movie Ride, and then the backstage lot. That was another one. It was really good because you got to be like interacting, like how they did the special effects and they explained it.
Yeah.
And then like they had the Honey I Shrunk the Kids stuff. All that's gone. It's all gone.
So they're gonna just put it in one specialized part.
So they cut off where that whole area was, and now that's where they're doing Toy Story. And now on the other side, where the Muppets and all that, that's where they're opening up into Star Wars World. So I'm like, okay. And they keep talking, because I think they did in California, but they haven't done it in Florida yet. And that's where the Tower of Terror is now going to be like the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. Like eventually, I think they're going to turn all of Hollywood studios pretty much into all of their live action stuff, which is smart on their part, but they got to do it right. Because you got people like me that I grew up on Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror, and you get rid of that, like to me.
I like that Toy Story ride they had, the one where you're shooting the little.
No, that's at Magic Kingdom.
Was that?
That's Magic Kingdom. That's over in Future World.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was at MGM.
Nope. They brought a brand new one, and we didn't get on it because the wait was over like 700 minutes.
It's the one where you shoot the gun into and there's a screen interaction and you ride through there. That was at Magic Kingdom?
Now, how long ago was they were talking about this one? Because that one's still new. There's a new one and then there's an old one. And the old one is like Buzz Lightyear with Zurg. And it's all glow in the dark kind of thing.
No, I didn't go on that
and you're
one.
shooting Z's.
Okay.
This was so you're talking about that's the newer one. Now, yeah, that one is at Hollywood Studios.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. Because we went to that one and that was really fun. I had never done a interactive, because you're shooting at this screen while you're riding like these little carts or whatever, but you're shooting at the screen. You're trying to shoot some what is it? Some rings or something. I forget what it was exactly, but I remember being extremely fun.
Yeah.
And
it sounds similar to the other one. That one was you just were shooting Z's and you were trying to get it and it was all over.
But the point of all this, of course, is that you're biased again. Like you were biased in the
Okay, so I was biased
the Godzilla review.
Okay, but we have to explain this. I'm biased with Godzilla because Godzilla is my favorite of all time characters. That's what I grew up with besides Disney. Like Disney is like second place. So yes, I'm not totally biased when it comes to all of Disney because there's some stuff at Disney like I'm like, no, I don't think so. Like this movie, I'm kind of could have been better.
Okay, because that's what I was about to say. I didn't want to offend you, but
No.
I had some problems with this movie. First of all, my biggest problem with it, of course, is that I've already seen this movie, and I'm not trying to be clever here. It's a shot-by-shot remake.
Almost exactly shot by shot of the original animated.
And the thing about it, it's another animated movie.
Exactly.
It's just computer animated.
Yes.
And I kept asking myself.
It's not live action. Don't call it live action. It's not live action.
It's not live action. It's all computer animated, except maybe some of the backgrounds in the
some
safari.
of the backgrounds it looks like they were actually in an area and they actually shot that.
Yeah, it looked like they were actually in Africa, but it was the same. It was a shot by shot.
The whole opening scene, it was shot by shot. The only one that they left out was the birds flying over that big lake. That was the only shot that I remember that wasn't in the shot for shot beginning.
Now there was some differences in the dialogue. Mm-hmm. What I don't get is they brought James Earl Jones back, right? Mm-hmm. and they got him to re-record what he had already recorded in the first movie.
He didn't say all the same things though, especially.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was different, but I'm like, why didn't? Okay, if you're gonna do the movie shot by shot, why not just use the original dialogue from the last movie?
Exactly.
It would have made no difference. Mm-hmm. Why get new actors? Why get some of the same actors? I was like, what? And then, oh, bless you. But then, like, in a couple instances, they actually added a couple things. Like
they did.
Like,
are we gonna go straight into spoilers, or do we want to like?
So okay, well,
because I don't want to spoil it for somebody who wants to go see it and then figure out if they like it or not. Because I saw it and like there was a few iconic scenes. I was just like, yes, I was like, that's what I wanted to see. Like, yeah, but at the same time, like there was a lot of stuff I was like, you could have done that a little differently.
Yeah, let's go into spoilers because
okay.
There's nothing to. What is there to spoil?
Okay, so
it's the same movie.
It's the same movie. My only thing is they brought in. I like what they did with the hyenas. I don't like that we didn't have the three iconic.
They did have the three iconic. They
weren't funny.
They wasn't funny because they didn't have. First of all, they didn't have Whoopi Goldberg.
They didn't have Whoopi Goldberg.
Which I don't know why they didn't.
They didn't have Ed. I love Ed.
Yeah. They
didn't have Ed.
They wasn't as iconic.
You know that was funny.
And they didn't have Nathan Lane for what did he play? Timon, didn't he?
Timon. I didn't like Timon.
Yeah.
I didn't like Timon.
I didn't get.
Pumbaa I was okay with. I was okay with Timon.
That was Seth Rogen though.
Yeah, and he did all right. I think. I'm sorry. I would have wanted the same guys. Are they dead? Am I wrong?
And it hurts to say this. Chiwetel Ejiofor, he was not a good Scar.
No.
I mean, it's not that he wasn't a good Scar.
I didn't even like the song. The song made me upset. It's like, where's the green? Where's the random hyenas popping up out of nowhere making an army like he wanted? Just randomly, and I was like, oh, they ruined that song. That was one of my favorites besides Can't Wait to Be King. Like, I know everybody has their favorites. Mine was Be Prepared, Can't Wait to Be King, and The Lion Sleeps in the Jungle.
Well, the thing about it is Jeremy Irons, his voice is just so iconic.
Well, I suppose you'd have found out sooner or later. You being so clever and all. Oh, just do me one favor. Promise me you'll never visit that dreadful place.
I was just thrown off the whole time when I'm up. And I love Chiwetel Ejiofor. I hate saying his name because it's one of those crazy names. But I love that actor, and it was just pain me to not like his portrayal because. Mm-hmm. But Jeremy Irons just nailed it. You can't. If you're gonna bring back, I mean, there's two people you have to bring back.
Mufasa and Scar.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to because they're supposed to be brothers.
And they brought Mufasa back, but
they didn't bring him. And honestly, I feel like that was a mistake. I really do. I agree with you on that. I think that was a mistake not to bring him back.
And then Nathan Lane, of course, would be the other one. He was just. Who was this guy that they got to play? This Billy Eichner. I've seen this guy in, what was that? Friends from College. That's the only thing I've seen him in. But I was like, why did they choose that guy? He was okay. He wasn't that terrible, but he wasn't Nathan Lane to me.
No, it really wasn't.
And I was just like, oh my God. So,
I was cool with Beyonce though. I was cool with
I didn't like Beyonce.
Really?
She can't act. And I understand what...
She can't act, she was just doing the voice.
She can't even do the voice.
Okay.
It was like, the whole time, she was like, Simba, you need to come back. Simba, you need to come back. Simba, we need you to come back. It's like
Okay, now you say it like that. I'm like,
it's like there was like I'm trying to do a bad version of I'm showing more emotion than she showed. I'm actually doing a better job, I feel, than she did with her voice. They brought her,
Yeah.
but they needed her because they wanted to do that little duet with that new song that they
I
brought.
didn't mind that song, surprisingly. I thought, okay.
And they did have Donald Glover and Beyonce.
and I
They're
was
both
okay.
singers.
And I was okay with him being Simba. I really was. I was like, you know what? I can deal with that. That doesn't sound as bad as I thought once I actually heard it. Especially when it was him and Timon and Pumbaa kind of like going through the jungle of their little paradise.
Yeah.
That was also one of the things. It wasn't so much the people. It was the movie was not as colorful as the first one, the animated one. Even though this is animated, like this bright color that you expect to see throughout the movie. No, it's not there. It is literally all the same shades. Like the whole beginning, like that was bright. It was the beginning of the day. Okay, you had a few colorful birds. My boyfriend pointed out, he goes, the most colorful thing in the movie was the flamingos. It was the flamingos. And then like the I can't wait to be king, and you know how that whole song, like it's portrayed with a bunch of colors and him running around and all this brush and a bunch of animals coming up, and it's like it's not as colorful, and it's like
And the animals weren't as
they're not as bright.
the animals weren't as animated as
That movie.
They looked a little bit. They had the
They
CGI
looked
was.
realistic. They looked realistic.
They looked a little bit too realistic though.
Yes.
They should have been a little bit more cartoony.
I think so. Like I think they would have been better.
The eyes should have been a little bit bigger for because
a lot of expressions would have been better.
Right. There wasn't a lot of emotion in their faces.
And I get it. Make it look realistic. It's a realistic animal. But still, it's like you want certain things from that movie, and that movie originally was so colorful.
Yeah.
And then the fact that all of a sudden it's like it's so gray. Like when he went to the elephant graveyard, like we're looking for that musty green and evil looking that wasn't there.
Yeah.
I missed that. And then like the whole paradise with Timon and Pumbaa. I liked the other little animals that came involved with that.
I actually liked that part. They did.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's cute. But the whole fact that the paradise was supposed to be this luscious green area, when you first see it, you're like, that's not really green. It could have. I think they could have made it look better. I think it could have looked a little better.
I didn't have so much a problem with that. I thought that little area was okay. I don't know. But my main thing was just they were doing this. Like I compare it to Aladdin, the way they did Aladdin. Now Aladdin was pretty much the same thing. They had the same story beat, same scenes pretty much. But Guy Ritchie actually put his spin on the directing. Like some of the camera shots you could tell was something he would do, and they were more cinematic than the original. This movie, they just stole everything from the freaking animation. Even when Mufasa falls into the little gorge, and they do the little push in on Simba, it was exactly the same.
It was exactly the same, and I was like, okay. I do like the fact that even like when he was confronting Scar, and Scar's like, I killed Mufasa, and they did that whole flashback again.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't mind it. I liked the idea of it, but I was like, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not. Like, I was actually really, I liked this movie. Like, that was the first movie I ever saw in theaters.
Really?
Yes, that was one of the first ones. I'm young.
Okay.
Not technically, but I'm kind of young. But that was actually the first one, and I remember it. And I remember being like, "Oh my god, like this! Oh!" And I don't feel the same way. Like I don't have that thing that made me go like, "Yes, I really like this movie."
Yeah, they needed some kind of update, some new ideas. If you, Because here's the problem. The beginning was a shot-by-shot recreation of the beginning from there. If you're going to do a shot-by-shot recreation, follow through the whole movie. Get all the same actors.
Exactly.
In fact, don't even get any. There was no need for them to get any actors. It's not like they had real actors on the set. They were all animated again. You could have brought back all the same soundtrack, all the same dialogue, and just done it that way.
And one of the
have it look just more realistic. But they did this thing where some of it was shot by shot, but they did change some things. But the things they changed didn't make it any better.
It didn't. But another thing I think people need to realize is the original Lion King was actually done by a bunch of like intern animators, a first-time director, and everything else. And what had actually happened was at the same time they were producing Pocahontas, and that was going to be their movie of the year. So a lot of people abandoned Lion King and actually went to Pocahontas. And all these guys were like, well, we're going to keep doing it. We got this. We're going to keep going with it. And at one point, I think they even said that their studio caught on fire. And a lot of their stuff that they lost. And so they kind of redid the story a little bit. But that was why that movie ended up being so great. You had all these hardworking animators trying to get together and like put together the story that no one thought would do very well. And it did 10 times better than Pocahontas.
Yeah.
People know Lion King more than they know Pocahontas. And that was supposed to be
they turned Lion King into a Broadway show.
Yeah.
Very successful Broadway show.
And amazing. Like, I think they actually brought in those people to actually do a lot of the vocals in the back, I think. Because a lot of the music sounded like it was from the musical.
And they had a couple sequels, too. Those, like, direct-to-video sequels. They
had Lion King 2, and that was with Simba's daughter. So it had nothing to do with Simba, really. And then they had Lion King 1.5, that was mostly Timon and Pumbaa's story of how, like, in between, like, what happened to them, how they met up, and then what happened for the Lion King, and then what kind of, like, happened after. And then, of course, you had the Timon and Pumbaa show that ran on Disney Channel when, like, I was, like, 6 or 7.
Oh, really? They had a whole show, too?
Yeah, they had a whole show.
Was it Nathan Lane, or was
it? It was both of them. They both came back. Yeah, it was great. I was actually talking about it on my way over. It's like, I remember watching that show and enjoying that. That was funny. It came on, I want to say it actually came on, like, the weekday during the morning. So it was, like, one of those shows, like, you could catch, like, right before you went to school kind of thing. But I was, like, in elementary school.
So I don't quite, well, let me go over some of the things they added. Because
there was a lot they added.
They had, Nala had an escape scene. Remember that?
Yep. Which there wasn't one. And I did like how they did that. I did like that. I liked how she escaped and that Zazu helped her. I actually, out of all the characters, I liked Zazu.
Zazu. You see, this is the thing about Zazu. I thought it was the same actor. Because they got Rowan Atkinson, the Mr. Bean guy.
Yeah.
He did it originally. He sounded exactly the same, though. And I was like, oh, it was
off. It was off. I could tell.
You could.
I could.
Well, I haven't seen the movie. I haven't actually sat down and watched the movie in a while. I was like, oh, they got the same guy. But then I looked at the credits, and I was like, that was John Oliver? But he did a good job, I thought, with that.
He did a good job. I think out of all the characters that I grew up loving, out of all of them, Zazu was probably my favorite out of this whole movie. Which is kind of sad because I loved, like, Timon and Pumbaa. I loved Simba. I named a cat after Simba because I was like, you can understand, this is the first movie I watched in theaters and was obsessed with it. And I think a lot of kids were when they watched this. And it's like, I had a cat named Simba. And yeah.
So there was another little scene they added where they were kind of arguing with Simba about the circle of life thing. They were like, no, there's no circle of life. Life is a line that ends, or something like that. And I was like,
that is complimenting the millennials. That's exactly what that was.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's exactly.
But I was thinking, I was like, that was a little bit bleak for a kids movie. I was like, that's kind of.
It was a hand clap to you guys because it's like, oh, they always talk about death. Like I can't wait to die.
I was like, what is this existentialism thing, philosophy doing in a kids movie? There was also, I noticed, one change that I was curious about whether they were going to go through. I was curious whether they were going to keep this because when I saw the original movie, there was this line, and I always thought it was weird. Is when Scar and Mufasa's having the first conversation they're having, and Scar says, "When it comes to brute strength, I'm afraid I'm at the shallow end of the gene pool." Remember that? Mm-hmm. They changed that line because I remember thinking that line was really weird because it's like, why would a lion know about genes and DNA and stuff? And I forgot what they changed it to, but he said something like, "Well, I guess you got more the lion share," or something like that.
It was along the lines of, "I got the brains when it came to."
Well, they kept that line, the brain line. As far as brains, I got the lion's share, but when it comes to
brute strength, I can't beat my brother.
Yeah, he said something like that.
Yeah.
So they changed that line because like I said, that's the one line from the original that I always thought was weird. I was like, why would Scar know about?
First off, why would animals talk about the circle of life? If you really want to go into
if you really want to get deep about it, none of it makes sense. But that in particular, I was like, that seems out of place in this kids movie. And I'm kind of glad they changed it, but it was...
At the same time, it was one of those really funny kind of things. Like, if you were really paying attention, that was funny.
Yeah.
Like, I missed the whole part where Scar put Zazu in his mouth when Mufasa shows up and he's like, Scar! He just drops him and he's covered in saliva. That was funny to me.
And what was that little scene with the mouse? It seemed to go on forever.
Okay, so if you remember, right after the whole circle of life, Simba being born, the whole point of Mufasa showing up to talk to Scar was he wasn't there for the coronation. Pretty much the fact that we have a new king. He's going to be the king one day. Here's the baby.
Yeah.
Okay, he wasn't there for that. So Zazu pretty much shows up, and at that point, the only thing you see, if I remember correctly, in the original movie, the mouse shows up. You see nothing but the mouse, like right after the whole closing of the sun, and it's in Lion King right after the title. And so all of a sudden you just see this little mouse, and he's just kind of running around.
But it didn't go on for that long.
It didn't go on for that long. And you actually see, like, Scar play with it. He was actually, like, playing with it, and it was going through his paws, and he was doing this whole thing where he's holding it above his head, and he was going to eat it, and Zazu
right, I remember that part, but there was this whole scene they added where the mouse was just climbing up stuff, going down, going up, going over, and it was like...
And it was going on for a little bit ever, but I think what they were trying to show with that, because I actually was really paying attention to that, I was like, I think that they're trying to show that the whole land is prosperous. Like, this mouse can go pretty much anywhere and find food, and just happen to wander into this cave to find some type of grass or seed that he wanted to go eat, and just happened to come into the cave with Scar. Which, in the other movie, he did, like, weasel his way up into there, but we didn't really know why. But I think he was trying to give them the purpose of, we're getting the mouse where it needs to be. We're showing you the fact that it looks like maybe a real animal, but also the fact that maybe the kingdom is prosperous, which is why this mouse wandered into here when you probably wouldn't have had that to begin with. I don't know.
So that's. Did you notice any other thing? Because the other one I put down is the new song. That they had a little scene with the new song,
and that was him running back with Nala, which she did not originally run back with him. He ran back on his own, and Rafiki went and told Nala and Pumbaa and Timon that he had gone back. Because Timon and Pumbaa didn't know that he was the king, even when Nala showed up. And he was like, no, that's not me. And then they had the whole "Can you feel love tonight?" And Nala confronted Simba. And from there, they quarreled, and she took off, and he took off. And then that's when he ended up meeting Rafiki and remember who you are kind of thing. And I was upset Rafiki did not have his staff. the whole movie. I was upset because I wanted him to whack Simba on the head. Like, what was that? Because there was a whole scene for a lot of us where he was, because he dodged it. He was like, now, I'm going to take my stick and hit you. And he's like, did you learn from it? It was pretty much like, did you learn a lesson?
Right, I remember that.
And so they took that out. And then Simba was actually from there supposed to take straight off and go to Pride Land. But instead, and then eventually it was where Nala woke up Timon and Pumbaa, like, hey, have you seen Simba? They're like, no, we thought he was with you. And then Rafiki jumps down and is like, nah, the king has returned. And then that's when she's like, he's went back? I can't believe it. It's like, wait, what do you mean? It's like, he's the king of Pride Land and he's going back. They're like, what? So that scene was kind of like switched up where he roars, Timon and Pumbaa see him, he takes off. Nala's on her way back, and he walks with her, and then that's when their song starts. And
so why did they change that? Do you think?
I don't know. Like I'm still.
It's like they made a few little changes, but they didn't make the movie any better. Like, I don't think.
Why didn't Rafiki have a stick the whole time? I was mad.
He did bring the stick back during the final fight.
End.
Yeah.
Like I wanted him to literally just whack him upside the head with that stick. It would have been entertaining. More entertaining than what we had when he was like, do you know who you are now? Like, no, that was a funny scene. They made it important, but they made it funny.
Well, in this movie, they had him go to the water and look in.
They did that in another one too.
Yeah, but they just left that in and didn't.
They left where like he's going through the brush. I like how they kind of portrayed Rafiki as like an old kind of like shaman. I liked how they portrayed him a little bit more, but I wanted the stick.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have a stick through the whole movie because I wanted him.
Yeah,
I really wanted him to bash them upside the head.
That didn't make much sense. I do remember that though, and that was funny. And so what rating would you give it?
What is like a 5?
1 through 5.
1 through 5. I would say
5 being the best, 1 being the worst.
I would have to say like 2.5. I want to give it like a 2.5. Like it's not as good as the original.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the music, like even some of the songs they changed. So I have to say like a 2.5. Yeah,
I'll probably give it. That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say 2. I don't.
So I wasn't biased.
Well, that was the setup. Because I was going to give it a 2, and I didn't know whether or not you were going to be more forgiving or not.
I'm not, because like I said, that was probably one of the first movies I saw in theater, and I hold that very high on my list of enjoyable movies. Like to put somebody who's never seen that movie, like you watch this movie, you will like it. You'll like Disney if you watch this movie. This, no.
Yeah. So that's all we got for Lion King. Like to thank my subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Give me a comment, give me a like. And I will see you when I see you. Thanks for watching.